Welcome back to the VET S.O.S podcast. Don't forget, you don't have to drown in the sea of transition. Grab that VET S.O.S lifeline. And today on the scoop, you're going to hear first, we have a special guest. Colonel PJ Dermer is an active duty Army veteran spanning over 30 years. His service spread with breadth of challenging spectrums, including national levels of the U.S. government and multiple international hazardous duty and combat tours, extending his energies to post-military career. PJ has worked with veterans issues across the spectrum. He is a mentor of 3 programs, one of them I'm a part of, the Wounded Warrior Program, Mission Continues, and Team Rubicon. In 2020, after 5 years as a volunteer for the private NGO recovery organization, PJ founded TerraSearch Promise. TerraSearch Promise is a national first service-disabled veteran-owned small business and nonprofit dedicated to research, training, and recovery U.S. service members missing in action from our nation's conflicts. Veteran volunteers and their families and veteran supporters are welcome to join the TerraSearch Promise efforts to ensure our nation never forgets. Ladies and gentlemen, PJ, welcome to the scoop. How you doing today, PJ?
Doing fine, brother. Appreciate the time.
Awesome, man. This is great. This is a great way to go into the second part of 2025. Right, we're closing out. May. We're pushing into June, and this is another way for transition, right? Because as we talked about before we came on live, transition is one of the toughest things that you have to do in life.
Yep.
And with your nonprofit organization, you want to give us the scoop of Terra or what it is, a little bit of scoop of yourself or where you came from. We talked about you from the Northeast, and then you did the 30 years in the military, and now you're doing a nonprofit organization to help bring people back connected.
Multiple transitions and multiple times, I have to tell you. Yeah, no, we appreciate being on. So TerraSearch Promise, we'll get to that first. TerraSearch Promise, it's all together. Is my vision as someone that's been in a lot of downrange time, both active duty conflict and hazardous duty areas. I have more time overseas than stateside, making sure that we really carry out what our nation has promised. Through most of us know the MIA recovery business, or MIA recovery through the iconic black and white flag, which was created during the Vietnam era, but has now come to signify the greater sort. I entered during the Vietnam era, so I lived that whole closure part, of the Vietnam, Saigon falling, all the Vietnam vets coming home. I was in Korea when it happened, and everyone around me was Vietnam. So I got to see and hear about people that weren't coming back firsthand. Very early on in my career, I didn't really understand what it meant. I didn't understand the emotion tied with it. I'm like, okay, it's war. What do you want? Well, that whole Vietnam era, as you know, has led the way today to a lot of things based upon how our vets were treated when they came home. So flash forward, I came in the Army. I was in the Army, enlisted, and got out, went to college, and came back in as an officer. Flash forward, early in the second tour in Iraq, I ended up being a primary negotiator for the force and for the burgeoning U.S. Embassy, looking for our guys that were missing on the battlefield at the time. So we were actually looking right then and there at the moment of combat for some guys that were missing from service fights. And we're doing that as part of a carrot and stick approach to trying to get the insurgency and the fighting settled down in Iraq, period. So we would be armed with the question, hey, Mr. Insurgent, we'd like to know about Specialist Sergeant so-and-so, if we're going to continue to go forward. So I was enmeshed in what I would later become what I'm doing now in my career. Got out, the transition hits, of course. I had transitioned early from enlisted to officer. We could talk about that later. The main thing, I was employed. Got out this time, second time, as an officer, retired after 30, like the bio says. And accidentally, I bumped into this recovery world. I was traveling. I was looking for something to do. I was living overseas at the time, too far to come back to the States to consult, too hard to do virtually. So I started traveling, military historical travel, became an adjunct guide for a military historical outfit here in Annandale, Virginia. And one of my travels out in the Central Pacific, I bumped into a private NGO that had just discovered several Marines in a place where the government, the Department of Defense, has said, no, we're not going to formally commission a dig there. We don't suggest you do it either. And this private organization said, well, we think there's something here we'd like to do it. And they had paid her. So I was talking with them one night at the bar in the middle of this island. I said, how does someone do what you do? How does someone get, I mean, who does this? And the female archaeologist laughed. She goes, yeah, we get that a lot. Why don't you join us? Why don't you come with us? And I told her that I had previously went to the office in Thailand. There's a detachment in Thailand of the DoD organization that does it. And they formally told me we don't take volunteers. And I rolled my eyes and said, you got to be kidding me. I'm a veteran. I'm retired. I got nothing to do of consequence. I'm happy to cook rice. I'm happy to gate guard. I'm happy to change tires. I mean, don't get me wrong here. I can do a lot.
Right.
I'm just going to go out, right? The colonel's not asking for a lot. Okay, I'm not on colonel duty anymore. I'm on PJ Dermer duty. And they said, yeah, we don't take volunteers. Sucks to be you. Okay, so I started traveling, bumped into this other outfit in the middle of the Pacific, and they said, come with us. Oh, okay. And there I was carrying buckets and shovels, trying to help them do a little bit more things. I went to Congress with them and did some other higher level things, interfacing with the DoD agency, which is called DPAA in Crystal City, and the lab is in Hawaii. And so I cut my teeth on them. Okay, had enough time with them. COVID hit anyway, right about the same time. And I got called one day from actually within the office of the DoD, DPA, from a friend that was working in the hospice. Said, hey, man, why don't you create your own? Why don't you create an adult organization, professional organization, easy on the emotion, easy on all the, the things that, emotions, just someone we can work with, just, professional, smart, eager, ready to go to work. And I said initially, well, I kind of like the bucket carrying dirt thing. Someone tells me what to do. I don't have to think through it. I don't have to worry about budgets. I don't got to worry about putting together, personalities. I don't have to do that. I've done that. And sitting around during COVID, like the rest of us, I said, okay. And I reached out to a couple of people that I had met in my previous incarnation of being a volunteer, and they were all over it. They said, with you, yes. And TerraSearch was born. Initially an LLC. I wanted to keep it an LLC initially because it's 15, 20 minutes online, easy tax filing, easy setting up an LLC. But then as I started to outreach to the community and people found out we're a veteran, they said, are you a nonprofit? Are you a nonprofit? Are you a nonprofit? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's better if you're a nonprofit. I'm like, why? First off, there's no money to be made here. You're not going to make a living out of this. You do it because you like it. People do get paid a fair price for their technical skills, which we need, but it's not a major employment program because it's just too niche. Number one. Number two is I'm not in it for the money. I'm too old, too gray, had my time, got my retirement, right? What am I looking? But I'll keep consulting if I'm interested in that. And number three is, you think the guy that we're digging up cares if I was an LLC or a nonprofit? I don't think so. But I get it. The socialization said, you got to be a nonprofit. That's the first question I want to ask you. Okay, we're now a nonprofit. We're 503c, the C3 status. And okay. And we're partnered with the Department of Defense. That's how it works. To do formal MIA, American MIA recovery missions, you have to be partnered with DoD. They call it a partnership program. It's really, we're subcontractors, but that's where we get our formal missions. Can we do private things? Yes, as long as you do it smart and do it right. Can we be outsourced for other things in the same vein? Yep, but I prefer to do MIA. We have multiple technicians, very seasoned archaeologists and anthropologists that have a lot of mass grave time, unfortunately, in areas that you and I have served, Bosnia, Iraq, elsewhere. But it's outside our charter, but we are formally staffed and trained to do a lot of that. And the main difference we're bringing to this is we're actually preparing for the mission, training for the mission, and we want to be very fluid in the mission. Most of it works right now where you start up, do a mission, and shut down. It's not real feasible to us, although that's the current program. Not so cost effective. But we would like to establish an organization that this is what we do. Again, you're not going to hit the WW jackpot on this, but it is gainful employment. It's real purpose. with TerraSearch by MIA Recoveries, we cross all the boundaries of mental health, behavioral health, purpose, activity. That's the beauty of us, is we cross a lot of these bylines that people are actually setting up NGOs and private organizations on. God bless them. I mean, the current generation is very blessed to have all these veteran access points, you included. But we cross a lot of that just by default, because if you are working and busy, you know what that means. If you have a purpose, you know what that means, right? You're not sitting around. And God forbid you actually hit pay dirt. You find an American. You're bringing closure to a veteran and generations of families, because we're not looking for guys that were killed yesterday. A lot of our work is decades ago, so they're
Right.
grandparents, right? So you're closing all that in one space, and we get positive feedback for it. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's awesome, because in the transition space, like you said, that you go out and you have archaeologists. Y'all go to the last known locations and you start trying to find remains or basically investigate, right? Like see where they are, because you have the families that's waiting for that transition, because you have some still holding on to that hope, and or maybe they just want that closure.
Right.
So what's the scoop on Terra? How many people have y'all helped with that transition to give them that closure so they could continue on and move on, or maybe pushing that legacy of their loved one, the missing one, gone?
Well, we're relatively new, and we're dependent upon Department of Defense for missions. So, it's a big bureaucracy. We've been out with partners twice. We went out with another outfit that had a dig, and they asked us to join, and we did that twice. And we had our own mission last year. We were hoping for one this year, but the programming that the Department of Defense did said we won't. It looks like we won't send you out this summer, given last year things went well. We are in standby for a mission or two in France, private, if word comes down that they have enough information to pass us. So, but individually, what we have built, the team we have decades of experience on our senior archaeology anthropology crew and our research crew, and we have upwards of, I don't want to get in solid numbers because it's not fair, but we have over tens of confirmed recoveries within the bios of the people that I have working for me, which means we have very seasoned people. The transition bit, which I think is very interesting, you're exactly right. Sometimes we don't even see it. Like those of us that have worked successful recoveries before we got here, so we don't always see it, because sometimes there's interface with the families, sometimes there's not. Sometimes the family is so long on the DNA chain. It could be a great nephew, it could be a great uncle. It's not always so clear who makes that connection. Normally, we don't interface early because we don't want to raise too much hope, and then they get crushed again. But what we have learned is people that are not employed, and primarily we're veteran families, are not employed and that want to be employed, have found us to be a great place to come while they're trying to figure that out. And this is what I did when I went from enlisted to officer, which I did not know I was going to come back in as an officer. When I got out of my enlisted time in the 70s, the heyday of post-nom, I didn't know what I was going to do. But what I did do was go to work. God bless my parents. They said, get out of the house, go to work. You ain't staying. Okay. So I worked construction like all the young guys. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. But during that summer of heavy construction, I started putting dots and said, this is what I might like to do, and started putting energy behind it. So I'm gainfully employed, and mentally I'm thinking about where to go and what to do. You can't beat it. I mean, you eventually get there. So you're not sitting around in some dark room partying, drinking, or listening to everybody else's BS and not taking care of yourself. Flash forward all these years later, I got out and did the typical contracting thing. Okay, made bucks, but it wasn't not something I came home screaming in joy from, shouting, hey, look, in the rocking chair going, oh boy, I'm a consultant. Oh, really? Yeah, wow. Now to me, this is transitioning to the last stage, and it feels really good. It's a great feeling. I mean, it's a cold call business, like you guys somewhat know, but it's one thing to cold call and say, hey, would you be interested in a new bank account, an insurance plan? Me, I call up and say, hey, you want to help me find a missing American? And immediately I get a few more seconds on the phone call. If not, I'll call
Right.
back. I mean, this is a latter day transition to beat all transitions. You can't beat it. And those that are coming out with us agree. You ask them, what would you be doing if you weren't out here? And they kind of look at you with a blank stare.
Man, so this is a good way for, and like you said, service members about to transition to back to civilian status, right? You said they could come on and join your team to help as a volunteer, right? So how would they, like, any skills do they need? Like, what's the scoop on that? Like, do they need to know like archaeological style? Like, what's the prerequisites for them? Like, I'm going to reach out to PJ because I want to be part of something bigger than me. I want to still serve.
Roger that. You said it right. Okay. First off, we do need certain skills. So there has to be a certain skilled technological component of what we do. And those folks do got to get, do get a bit of a wage, fair wage for what they do. In general, though, and to be honest, like I did when I was volunteering, we're a labor organization, a labor and fit for purpose organization. So what we really need at the end of the day, we have a small core group. Most of us are 1099 to start. Ultimately, like I said, we hope to become engaged in a full practice. But for now, we're adjunct in 1099 professional skills as required. We have to have a small group of those. So I'll put out the word. I have 2 full-time operators that stay with me now, help me plan, help me work. They're both seasoned archaeologists, and just for truth in lending, we're forensic archaeologists. So if you think of the TV show, see, we're forensic. So we're not looking for King Tut. We're looking for very
right.
We got the brother. We got him. All right. We don't necessarily get to come home with balloons and all kinds of
stuff,
but we get enough. Put out the word. We say, this is the kind of mission we're doing. This is the numbers that we think we need. Here is the skill set, X labor. We like to go out with a medic if we need explosive ordnance disposal, which a lot of times might be required, right? We're going in a bombed out area or the aircraft or whatever we were looking for, vehicle got hit, was, amen, or, not amen, but, gotta be true. We need sometimes we need heavy equipment. Sometimes we need the chainsaw gang. Sometimes we need a radar, a ground sled radar. It's a system you push over the ground that reads underneath the ground, various levels. Drones, sometimes we might need drone skills and metal detection skills. So we put that out. We announce the mission and we put it out. And those interested send a note, because we do get that exact question. What kind of skills do I need? But even though a lot of the percentage is labor, and it can be quite tricky, so we have to watch age group, we have to watch demographics. I mean, the graybeard like me that started this, I don't want all my other graybeards out there because, buckets got to go up and down the hill.
Right.
I don't need to hear about your knees.
And popping that Motrin 800, huh?
Right. I ain't supplying the Motrin. Okay.
Right.
So we get various demographic. And we go for it. But we do. But I am so high on the fact that we cross the veteran spectrum. And the reason is because the vision is, one, to increase the number of recoveries. The second part is to make sure we bridge this mission, this national promise. It's a national promise. It's not our promise. The United States of America made the promise to veterans and their families, not us. So we bridge that to the new generations because, as you know, you and I were very fortunate, me in my latter career, you in your Central Party career, most of our brothers and nowadays sisters came home. The ones, the numbers in the thousands of our major past conflict didn't. So if you're of the generation where what's the big deal? Only 5 are missing or 2 are missing, doesn't resonate, doesn't come inside, doesn't hit you like those of us that live with it in the early days and have, know the history from and know what it means.
Right.
So it's more important that we got to keep this thing going, or else it'll just become one of those things that once upon a time was, whatever tool you and I used to use, like black leather boots when I first came in. You ask
yes.
Today, they look at you like, what? Who the hell wear those? Why would you wear those? Well, right. So that's the part, is to keep it alive. So first off, we need the younger demographic for some of the, the field work, heavy work. And 2, that then brings them into the fold. Okay, you're in, you get it now, why we do it. And you can see how emotional it is for me and my peer group. And, okay, wow, if that's much I had no idea. Well, yeah, you want to, we wish you to carry this forward. But unless you got into it, why would you know? But you see the black flag, but you don't know, you really know what it means, we're
Right.
bombarded by signs every day.
Right. And you just made a great point there, is to let the younger generation know the importance of leave no one behind.
Right.
Everybody comes home.
Right.
Because it's always that void. Is that void. And you don't realize it until it happens to you. And I tell her, like, death is something that everybody will experience while on this earth, right? And you can't tell somebody how long it's going to take for them to heal, how long it's going to take for them to move on, to continue moving forward.
Right.
But at least your organization, Terra's like, look, we want to do our part to make sure that if we have maybe it was a young private or young sergeant that was over there in a non-mirror, now, like you said, it's somebody's granddad or somebody's great uncle, and maybe that might get them this, like, wow, I know I served now because they served before me. It's like, like you said, it's continuing on the legacy, it's continuing on us keep moving forward, because if you don't know the history, how can you want to, how can you put forth that passion to move forward, right? If you don't know where it came from, how are you going to be part of the going forward?
Yes, sir. And that's actually a large driver of the requests we get. Just the emails that I get for people are prime examples. And I post a couple every so often. Just reading someone's email to me about why they want to join, just, I can't keep getting teary-eyed at the computer. I'm going to burn it out, right? And burn myself out. But that's exactly why they're reaching out to us. A very large number of them are reaching out to us. My great uncle, my uncle, my brother. I mean, we had a guy with us last year. His uncle was actually in a bomber that crashed, and he someday would like to get to that crash site, right? So it's an automatic connection, and it's taking them, like you're proposing, like you're saying, it's taking them from the daily world of whatever they're in to a world they never thought they would enter. And the value that it's bringing them, right? But they never would have thought about it. They never would have known. But that connection was always there. They never knew they had it, and now they know. And they want to bring to someone else. I mean, we're hoping to get. We had 15, age 15 to 76 last year. That's quite the generation spread. We didn't. Good old Alex, 15. I didn't think he was to make it all the way through, but he did. Man, he stayed in there the whole time and lasted the whole mission.
How long is the mission? So what's the scope of that? Usually, you get like a 2 weeks, or like, hey, we're going over there for 30 days, and then we're gonna see what we could do in 30 days, and then we have to come back. Or can you extend the mission? How does that work?
Yeah, it's multifaceted. There can be funding matters. You only get a certain amount of funding. You got to do the contract, got a negotiation, right? DOD is in the thinking they need to get most bang for the buck. Fair enough, but it's not always so clear as to exactly how much a mission should cost, how long you should stay. So we do the analysis. The technical gang does the analysis based upon the difficulty of the site, what they think you're going to find, what the history. We get a historical packet. What all that tells you, an average mission can be between 2 weeks and a month. Sometimes it can go longer. For just a site, I know a site that's upward of a whole summer a couple of years ago. I've done a couple in the winter. Or it can be where you go and come back. We're offering that we go and stay, but the current paradigm is you go, come back, depending on whatever the digging season is where you're at. There are other things. The country and the host nation has to say yes. Host nation has to agree to what you think you might want to do. It's not like you can just put a shovel in the ground or launch something in the water and think you're dilly-dallying on your own little, private yacht to do what you want. No, you have the national constraints. You've got environmental constraints. So there's a lot of things that go into ultimately where you go and how long you can stay there and what you can do when you're there. And ultimately, you'll get a sense somewhere along that mission string whether we're good, we're hitting pay dirt. We could hit better pay dirt later, which is a tricky swing, because like anything else, you keep pulling the jackpot arm. It's got to be the next one. Right? Right. I mean,
right.
It's gotta hit, right? I've been here 3 days.
Right. We got to find something.
Yeah. But unfortunately, reality can tease you. I mean, the nature of war, as you know, the nature of clashes doesn't always leave the best roadmap to what happens. A classical example, like I said, we're not underwater, but you read the story of the Titanic. They found the debris field, right? The great Americans found it, and they followed the debris field to the wreck. They didn't find the wreck. They found debris and then followed the debris field. Well, same with us on land. We find all kinds of debris. Sometimes we find very little, and it doesn't
Right.
necessarily blinking red arrow like "Go here, guys, go here." Not at all. That's where the science and the expertise comes in.
Okay. So now you're over there,
Yeah.
and you're on your way back. So now that when you're back stateside waiting for your next mission, how is that transition from, are you doing this full time? Like, say you get the volunteers, do they stay ready, or
No.
can they go back to their respective
Yeah.
parts? And then, can that transition will be hard. Like, okay, hey, I'm going over there, ready, they geared up, ready to go.
Yeah.
They on the plane, they, have their shovels and looking through things. They're like, okay, hey, we have to wrap up, we have to head back. So how do you share with them, okay, you're gonna transition back to your normal day to
Home
day,
life.
but
Yeah.
then, yeah.
That's a great question. Good for you. That's a very cool question. Good for you. Because it is realistically what we also dealt with in the service, number one, coming home from overseas, and particularly when we came home from combat areas, right? It's that period of coming home can be very tricky. Well, you're right. They're very good for you. This is a great question. And we're not there yet, but my sense is, I can tell from the feedback, is people express to me what the coolest thing they've ever done in this piece, in the world of whatever, the volunteer post, whatever world, the mission. But you're right. Then their first next question is, when is the next one? And this is, this is tricky for us because we don't know. We don't get to play in it too much. The way the current system is structured is the DoD has its numbers and its master list and its files, and we're not involved in that process. We'd like to be. The one thing that we bring to the table different than most of the other private organizations, which are universities, field schools, one or two corporate entities, there's a couple of corporate entities like anything else in America.
Right. Something bigger. Yep.
Yeah. The corporate entity develops it from start to finish and does what goes to it and can take a mission from them and turn it. We would be more like to be more than that because we're military veterans. We have strategy, planning, leadership, right? We would develop a whole system, a whole season of digs and priorities. Unfortunately, right now, the way it's set up, we don't get to participate. So we're kind of at the will of waiting for DoD what next. And it's not pleasant. And it's also, don't know how to explain to folk why we're waiting. When's the next one? Will we get the next one? Not sure yet. We're just not there yet. Me and the one or two adjuncts that are with me full time, of course, we're planning, reaching out, lettering, doing a lot of engagement. So it's kind of a full time thing for us. So we're staying in it. But the big answer, the big question, the big tricky transition part, like you just identified, we're not there. We haven't broken the code on it, and we are approached it. We've offered it. We've given the appropriate after action reports, and we're not there yet. So that's a fair one. I can't keep people waiting forever. I can't keep technical skills waiting forever because they need to go to work for their families.
Right.
Those are strictly,
and they want to help. They want to help. They chomping at the bit. Like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for the next one. Then to keep them encouraged and keep them, on the ready. That's one of the hard transitions, right?
Even if you're volunteering, you do have something else you were doing in life, family plans, whatever. You kind of like to know and fit it in there. So we argue we should know way far out, not 3 months from now, 4 months from now, because you do through the volunteer network as well find really sharp people. So people and others that are just in it for whatever the business and could care less. And that's fair. I'm not judging. They come for whatever reason they want to come. But we do find ourselves building a pretty good circle of group that just, I'm waiting. And I'm like,
right.
And I'm in the middle, right?
I
ain't me saying no, but I'm not in that decision space. And I wish it could be different. But it does make a difference. You're right.
Right. So I know usually when I talk to the younger generation to have them connect back to the history, and what I've come to find that is valuable is to actually give them something to look at so they can understand the process. Like, you talk about Vietnam and the fighting culture was different than as it was in Iraq and Afghanistan and other conflicts. So just to go back 30, 40 years and try to find remains, that right there is a hard transition because now you have to kind of put your brain into that thought process of that time. Like, okay, this was the fighting arena at this time. So you kind of have to transition to that time zone to understand the thinking of, okay, why are we looking here? Why are we digging in this pot? Why are we going here? Have you had that notion or that moving back and forth with the individual that's wanted to volunteer, and then you have to kind of explain it to them, like, well, we're going over here, but we think we might find something, but we have this order number.
You are very correct. That's exactly right. Number one. Number two is we find it when we're out there as well. We find those that they're excited to be out there. They want to be out there. We do talk them through thinking in time. I do. I said, you got to really understand the nature of this war, especially World War II, Korea, jungles of Nam, Iraq and Afghanistan. We have our own set of how we work. But yeah, especially in World War II, where the sheer mass of what was going on, the sheer mass of movements of men, material, and arms, right? We have to warn them, we have to coach them that it's not possible in some ways to find all of a person, let alone, most of a person or individual. We also have to coach them that because of the nature of the incident that we're dealing with, it could be very tricky. And then we have a very neat kind of an emotional tug of war sometimes along those lines, is there are those that say, well, we shouldn't leave until we get everything we can possibly find. And I don't care if we have to come back 6 times, we stay here until Christmas, we need to. And the nature of our mission, which is forensic recovery, we're not looking for King Charles and the crypts, doesn't allow us to do that. And notably, one, it's been so long. If you think about it, this mission, the MI mission, I think in a philosophical sense, should have been out of business by now, one might say, because it should have reached the point where it couldn't get any further. Okay, call the ball. That might be heretical to some, a family member, but sooner or later, because of cost, time, whatever, you're not going to get there. So it's rather we close the file, like you said, bring closure, as good or bad as it is, and then move on. Well, fortunately for a lot of these families in America, we're still looking. But the nature of time, the nature of the war and all that, we have to coach some of our very young, energetic first timers, second timers. Hey, I'm not going home. Give me that metal detector. I'm going to go walk the entire mountain. And you can't. It's a tricky decision point, but we can't. We have to find what we can in the allotted time and cost, turn it in for analysis with our analysis, and then go from there. It is. It's very tricky. The nature of, if we were looking in Iraq and Afghanistan and the fights that we were in there, short, sharp, after the initial invasion in Iraq, which is very conventional, and same a bit in Afghanistan with SF with air power. Yeah, there are some couple 3 spots that are very concentrated heavy combat. Other than that, it's very sparse, right? That's why when I was there, I was negotiating for bodies and burial sites because we knew damn well that the bad guys had an inkling of where this one person was because there wasn't B-52 bombings and there wasn't tanks and right. So somebody had that body. In the campaigns of yesteryear, sheer physics determined where somebody ended up, ground or sea, right? So we have to guide people that you're not going to come out with a full accounting of everything there is to account for. Unfortunately, what we need is enough scientifically, clearly, and fairly, for the government to be able to tell the family we got them. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it 5 decades ago, but at least now we can tell you yes, no, good or bad. Yeah, it's
right.
It's a tricky part on our shoulders.
Got you. So when your organization and y'all gotten to that stage where you actually did enough recovery to where you could give closure to a family so they could make that final transition into knowing that, okay, now I understand as much forensic as possible. At least, they know how did that transit. Have you been do you keep in contact with the family once you provide that or like to do a follow-up?
Formally, we don't interact with families unless they make a great effort to interact with us. As TerraSearch Promise, we have not. And the other missions I've done with the other private organizations, I have been part of that. Never initiated. The families initiated, and the leadership did. But DoD, Department of Defense, reserves the right to do the primary contact with the families, right? And then there is if it is plausible, and you can wire into that contact as it goes forth, or they'll contact you, like I said. It's tricky. I mean, some people handle it differently. There's some part of the group of our gang that wants to very much meet the family, be at the funeral, be at the handover when the airplane lands, you name it. They just want to be all part of that. That's up to them if authorized and allowed, and it's made to happen. Like I said, as TerraSearch Promise, we've been out in a couple missions of late where first couple didn't tell us a whole lot. Tricky, went back, and we're waiting on stuff. So it's been a real tricky. There wasn't easy material, right? The one we did recently, we had a much better time, and it's still under analysis. So if we hit pay dirt and they tell the family, we'll see. I myself personally, and this is the beauty of being, talking to you guys and being honest, I don't look for that. I don't search for it. And I don't necessarily have to have it. If others are legally want to do it and get into it, I'll let them. It's too much emotion for me. Number one, it's just too much. I can't be the emotional carpet for hundreds and hundreds of brothers. Number one.
Right.
Yeah. Got my own baggage. I got my own ghosts from my time over 30 years. I just can't keep adding to it. I don't go to ceremonies. I don't celebrate every veteran's outfit because I can't. So for me, getting face to face with the family, even though like it'd be a successful recovery and they want to think, okay, I tell you, it would be very tricky. And I don't want to revisit exactly what, as veterans, we've had to live through or transition out of again and again and again. And I'll tell you a great example. We set up something uniquely to us is, what the missing comrade, the missing soldier table is like in the,
yes.
You got that table, the chairs lean forward, you got the water, the plate. Right?
Yes, sir.
It's a standard, right?
Yes.
We do a field version. We always set up a field version. So when you come into our site, there's a field version of that table. It's very cool. It's got the necessary. We don't have everything because it's in the field, right? We got a picture of the veteran. We got our flags, our guide arms, a couple of other things. His service, POW, U.S. flag. But that greets you to the site to let you know this is what it's all about. We commission that. We say a little hello. Hey, man, we're here. We're looking for you. We're here. Here's who we are. Here's who we brought. We got some hotshot talent, professional senior talent. If we can't find you, no one can. All right, little bravado. So we say that. Not hard. I can't say farewell. I can't get through the farewell statement when we leave the site. I can't do it. Because So I did it, and I didn't get through it. I said to the gang, from now on, somebody else can say that, and I'll stand off over there on the side. I can't get through it. It's too emotional. So I don't need to revisit that. And then, God forbid, me meeting with the family, I don't, you just have to have a little distance with it. I'm doing the right thing, I think, doing the Lord's work, doing the right thing, being part of TerraSearch. Okay. I'll let others partake in the other part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the scoop on the next 5 years of TerraSearch Promise? Like, where do you envision, or, how can we as the veteran community help support and moving forward, trying to bring every service member home?
Good question. And that's exactly the right question. One, support us. Say, yep, veterans belong in this space. Anytime veterans get involved in a space in a big way, it's usually a good news story. And I think we believe that. Department of Defense, open the spigot, turn us loose. Don't keep us in the one by one each year downrange. Plus philosophically, practically, if you think about it, 1 or 2 missions a year, we're missing 79,000 plus, minus so many of those tens of thousands, 30-ish that are underwater that might not ever get found. Let's take off 10%. Let's say 50,000 are out there. Shit, we're not even going to get close to getting there at this rate, at this pace. It's one of the reasons I started TerraSearch, was to kick up the axis. Let's do what we can, and then we can tell Mr. and Mrs. Jones we did our best. We did okay. That word has to be gotten to DOD that it's time to not do business as usual. That's the whole purpose of me starting up TerraSearch. Lastly,
wow.
All right. Lastly, come on. Yeah, we're not small vision.
Right.
Small vision. In 5 years from now, I'd want to be doing 3 to 5 missions a year, continuously. So we have a revolving cycle, much more better in cost, economy of scale, much more fluid. We get really good when the same gang goes out again and again and again. and we get real fluid. Plus, as you know, like anything else in life, there's a personal aspect. You work in a certain country with a certain group of people, and the more you're with them, the more you know them, things come. You know that. Things happen. You know,
Yep, camaraderie. Yep.
you do it in the car, you've been investigated, you do it
Yep.
on a patrol window. No,
Yes.
on the window. Right? Get out of the damn car,
Right.
right? Get out of the Humvee. You know,
Right.
we had this big cycle in Iraq, Afghanistan. Get out of the Humvee. Yes, no, good or bad. Check your 5 meter, check your 25-meter target, but get out of the damn thing. So same thing. The more we're out and about, and the more that local populations see and hear and touch and feel, we believe stuff will come our way, come the nation's way.
Man, that is awesome, PJ. That you actually you told yourself that you want to transition into this space because you just said it. You say you want to do your part. You want to help. You said over 70,000.
Yeah, the official figure is 79 something plus online on the DPA website. Underwater is tricky, as you might not know. The Navy considers anyone entombed in a ship to be entombed for life. That's not a recovery aspect. So aircraft recoveries are okay, things like that on the floor. And then the numbers on land are, 10, 20, 30, 40,000-ish out there. Of course, like I just explained, physics will take a lot of those from ever being found, right? Time, water, movements, So, but even that, there's still plenty of thousands left that are accessible to investigate, to try to do it. Let's not drag this into the 22nd century. Look, World War I is not an official recovery era. So that'll soon happen to the World War II guys, and then it'll happen to the Korean guys. Pretty soon, we'll be looking for the 5 or 6 that are missing from Iraq and Afghanistan. Really? Then what do we do? I mean, really?
Right.
Then you'll have 50 organizations looking for 5 people. I'm being a bit facetious.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, because it's right. It's starting to catch up. But I did not realize there's over 70,000 still unaccounted for.
Yeah.
And
it's a story for another time.
Yeah. No, so I really appreciate. So one thing I like to do here on the Scoop is for all our listeners, I always ask the guests, like, what's one thing that you could share with somebody on the transition, like your scoop, like if you could do it all over again when you did your transition out of service or your transition to your next venture, what's one thing that you would tell them, like, hey, to consider this as well?
I would say a couple things. Probably the main thing is don't be afraid to be busy in something that you're not comfortable with. Number one. Okay. Don't look for the Holy Grail. You just got out of a great career service. You just got out of a great gig, right? And everyone's looking for the next gig. I would say be careful about the Holy Grail. I got to have this gig. These are my skills. This is what I'm good at. Well, welcome to the world at large, aren't we all? Right? Okay. So get engaged. Don't be afraid. And it's a good thing about, for us, the veteran organizations, there's a lot of engagement out there. Yeah, it might not be exactly what you got out to do, but get engaged and stay busy, particularly up here. And if you do have you're beat up physically, like a lot of us are at work, that's okay. The beauty is there's a lot out there, especially in this growing world, to get engaged in the AI, like your world. Go for it. Go. Don't think of it as, well, that's not what I want to do. I can't do that. Why would I do that? The money's not enough. Look, financial considerations, get it. And that's not up for folks like me and you to say, this is whatever. But being engaged, and that's one of the reasons we reach out in the transition space for TerraSearch, is come engage, get engaged. And then while you're with us, if you determine to be the next Microsoft founder, I'm all for it. We don't even want to cut. But the engagement, don't sit around at home finding reasons why that won't work for me, because you're not alone, number one, and that's not how it's going to happen anyway. Get out, just get out, and don't be afraid to get into something, couple things, and then slowly, you never know. Just watch, at least you're out and about, right?
Right. Right. You'll find your niche. And I just want everybody, for the ones who that's literally stuck in that sea of transition, like we always say here on VET S.O.S, if you're drowning, just grab that VET S.O.S light line. Just like PJ said, if you're not doing anything else, reach out to the Terra, because they need volunteers. Right? It's okay to volunteer. You can volunteer your service while you're still trying to figure out your transition.
Too easy.
We put it out here so you know that you don't have to be by yourself. You could go on this journey with other people. Like, just reach out to PJ and his team. PJ, how can they reach out to you? Can they reach out to you on LinkedIn? What's the website? You know, do you have a book or anything like that they could get in touch with you?
Yeah, we've got the website up, www.TerraSearchMIA.org, right? And we've got LinkedIn and Facebook as well. You plug in there, TerraSearch Promise, and we're in both of those. And we put out once you sign up with us, you can either sign up for a newsletter or get a registration form so I know to reach out to you. We put out a newsletter for key events and or certain times as well, once you connect to us.
Okay, awesome. And anywhere how they could donate to your cause, to anything like that?
Yes, sir. Same also on the website. We're in the website and through our big social media. We're out there. It's got the link in there right there.
All right, I appreciate it. Hey, so y'all heard it first on the scoop. Appreciate it, PJ. Don't forget, if you are a veteran or anybody transitioning, you can still grab the VET S.O.S. Lifeline. Do not drown in the sea of transition. You heard it here on the scoop. Until next time, peace.
Cheers. Bye, brother.